Good evening, friends, and welcome to tonight's Voice from the Baltic Star. It is Friday night, and on a Friday night, when the three of us are here, we play Traveller, and we invite you, our dear viewers, our dear friends of the channel, to sit with us at our virtual table and chat and chill, enjoy a drink or a snack or two, and we're going to play Traveller. You guys can interact, you can get involved, you can riff off what we're doing, make suggestions, do whatever you want, and just chat and interact with us for a couple of hours this evening. If it's your first time joining us, you are so welcome. Thank you so much for giving us a try. I hope we don't let you down. We will, but I hope we don't. It will run a couple of hours tonight, so there'll be a break in the middle at some point. Probably not in the middle, let's face it. Probably somewhere totally different. 2/3 of the way through, when there's only like 10 minutes to go or something, there'll probably be a break. But a break we shall have. And there's a chance to go to the loo, do what we need to do, and we'll come back for the all-important toast. What else to expect? Yes, feel free to chat or not chat. We love our chatters, we love our lurkers. Be whatever you want to be. You be you, boo. What we would like you to do, if you fancy it, is get involved with the old red sun. Click for the Imperial credits at the bottom. I've got something new here. Supported, new, get started. Okay, there they are. We've got lots of things, a dizzying array of options to spend your points on. Ewan, why don't you describe one of the things they could spend some points on tonight, just to throw you under the bus somewhat?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you're so inclined, you could spend a tremendous amount of your hard-earned points to make Luke go deaf.
Ah! Oh God, I need to turn it down.
Escaped, apparently.
Oh, why do I leave that on? Oh, so loud.
Not quite sure why you'd leave me that option, Luke.
I know. Thanks. I had the box clicked up, so I didn't even see that you'd. I normally get a split second to say that you've redeemed it. I didn't even get to see that. The perfect crime. Fortunately, we have a far more sensible person. Ben, what would you like to suggest someone might spend their points on?
Well, truthfully, I have my favourites. Well, I have my top favourite, but I think that's kind of almost a private joke at this point. But when it comes to toast time, feel free to select to Grey Hill to join in on the toast. Though, if you don't have the 200 at that point, I'll drink to that is just fine. We keep that at 1 so you can just chime in whenever you like.
That's how interactive we are. We're like a big anarcho-socialist hippie hangout space. And we try and keep things cheap for you. We do have to keep some things a bit expensive. We have to keep Boone to be wild, giving a Boone 1,000, otherwise people would just spam it because they love us so much. Naming an NPC, 800, and we don't want music to be playing all the time, so we keep some things a bit pricey. But have a flick through and see what you fancy, if you're interested in anything at all. We are playing Traveller, our favourite science fiction game. My favourite game of all, it must be said. It's something we started playing as a group years ago, and we're still playing it now. We're older. Somehow we're less wise than we were when we started, and we're still making terrible mistakes in game and in life. So, who are we? My name is Luke. Hello, I'm in the top right-hand corner as it stands. I'm happy to be here, and I play 2 characters in this game. If you look at the screen as it stands, I play Cara. She's on the far left. She's an artist, as you may have guessed, a hacker, a carouser. Let's pick a random skill that she can do. She can drive tracked vehicles. Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that.
Didn't.
I don't know, who would have thought it? And
Never come up.
It's never come up. She's never needed it. I'm hoping philosophy has. She's good at philosophy, and now psionicology. I'm very excited to see where that goes.
That could be a thing. You never know.
Yeah,
Tasty.
probably more of a thing than tracked vehicles, I would guess.
It is. I think I'm right in saying that, and is it Stefan who's gone for sign language?
Yeah, that's good.
Reading.
Lip reading. Sorry. That they are the first things that we've effectively added to the list of skills.
Yeah, It's quite.
which is exciting.
Yeah.
It is exciting. Someone who else who's very excited about it is Soraya Kansari, my other character. There she is. She is a former scout, a bit of a Han Solo-ish character. Loves gaffer tape and WD-40 and anything she can get her hands on to make things go, especially booze. Now, if you keep looking at that screen, but move all the way back to the right-hand side, and you look directly below me, there he is. Look, there he is, with his tiny little head under my big finger, like I'm a Terry Gilliam cartoon.
That's that part of my body called again.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is my brother from another mother, the housewife's favourite, the Floofmeister General. It is the wonderful Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Hello, Luke. I'm very good, thanks. I'm very excited. I'm happy to be here. We've got some awesome plans for tonight. As far as I'm concerned, perfect.
I'm excited
Nothing
to
will
hear
ever
it.
go wrong. Luke, why don't you tell everyone about my two characters?
I would love to tell them. First up, there's Agnar Arnson. There he is. He's the furry guy in the picture. He's a general. He was only a general after he retired. He was never a general in action. And his face is currently covered with pink paint from a prank gone wrong. He is the daddy figure of the group. He's particularly floofy, quite a good medic, and quite good at tactics, believe it or not. He is as weak as a newborn lamb, however, despite having built-in armor. So he should be tough, but he's not, because he's old. So old.
It's all true.
It's all true. Going all the way to the right is Stefan Miller, a man who has perfected daytime dressing gown wearing. His chest is growing hairier by the day. His backflips more exciting. His pickpocketing as good as it ever has been. And he's just a wonderful man. I think Agnar clearly based himself on Stefan over the last few months. I feel like Stefan is the glue that holds us all together.
Oh, thanks. Can you say
what?
one random stat?
One random stat.
Yeah, just Stefan. Yeah,
he's really good at agility.
That's true.
I don't know.
So good.
So good.
Sorry, go on.
Right, Ewan, why don't you introduce Ben?
Yeah, of course. Our four characters, as always, are led by the smartest man in any room. Apparently, I've been led to believe that he lives his life in the Twin Peaks dream sequence. I've never seen Twin Peaks, so I'm just basing that off of Luke's many intros. He is the wonderful. He is the amazing. He is the person who's definitely not going to kill us all off tonight. Ben, good evening, Ben.
Good evening, Ewan, and thank you for that introduction. I do appreciate it.
You're welcome. Not quite as honed, shall we say, but
and therefore, as it turns out, superior.
Scathing.
Wow, very.
We are not at our best when we rehearse. Let's be honest.
No, that's true. It's very true.
Oh, I'm shook to my very core.
And speaking of rehearsing, Ben, what have Luke and I not been rehearsing all week?
Well, yes, it is time perhaps to get started. So we are dealing with some swings and roundabouts on the water world of Darkmoon. The weather is definitely a negative, as is the fact that the only solid ground seems to be the polar ice caps. The nightlife appears to be absent. The food is terrible. We assume, because nobody offers any to visitors. Oh, yes, and the authoritarian government that treats its citizens like replaceable machine parts. On the other hand, no, I've got nothing. Still, some progress has been made. The Baltic Star is refueled. The arrangements for the Deep Night Revelation are organized. Just a little curiosity is keeping the party's attention here. For one thing, there's this deep chasm in the ocean floor that is causing so much trouble for the people trying to make their living from Sector 104, the part of the sea that has the chasm in it. Also, and I hesitate to mention it in case it gives people ideas, there is talk of a resistance movement against the government that might be active on the ice caps. Still, last time our heroes visited a ship, one of the kelp harvesting titans that ply the ocean, it was one that had visited the chasm, and at some point, possibly to stop reports of what was down there, someone deliberately sabotaged the communication wires in one of the so-called bathies. Now, Kron tries to see if the bathy is fixable, but the new crew is coming, and ship 104-11 might have to depart sooner than that. Only 4 of our party visited this dock, the others are waiting on the Baltic Star. Stefan, on the concourse, spotted the crew arrive just as Kron reported in that he can have this up and running in half an hour if you need it. And that is where we resume the story. So, what is the plan at the moment, just to set the scene for you as much as anyone else? Stefan is still on the concourse and watching the crew arrive and make their way through the first part of the sort of, not exactly airlock because there's air outside as well, but weatherlock, shall we say. So he's out there watching. There's nobody in the middle of that airlock. Zoe has gone out onto the bad weather side of the whole thing and is lurking on the dock to keep an eye on anything coming through. She can hear what's going on, but she's not easily able to communicate by voice because, well, frankly, there's a very large amount of wind and spray and things like that. The other two, Kron, is working on his bathy at the moment, unless anything changes at that point. And obviously, we have to leave our the last word to our hacker, who has chatted along the whole ship and logged in and discovered that the logs of the ship report its regular activities, including large parts about the most recent journeys. But thanks to that bathy's wire being cut, a lot of that wasn't retrieved from the bathy and therefore sent back to headquarters. So, who wants to make a move, do a thing?
Just to be clear, Ben, because obviously I take immaculate notes, as everyone is well aware of. There are 11. Is it 11 people approaching, or to enter the weatherlock?
There are, in fact, exactly 11. Yes.
Wonderful. And Stefan is not aware of how many people are on board.
Yeah, there are 3 currently on the ship and 11 more approaching.
Still a lot of people. Stefan will second the call again, I suppose, to everybody else. The group call. He'll look up at the board and have a little look once he's made sure of the numbers. And just to repeat, we've got 11 en route to your location.
While Kara's still logged into the laptop, she'll sort of give a thumbs up, I guess, emoji to it. Can I check the current status of other 104 ships very quickly? Like if they've got a mission plan coming up, or am I stuck with only being able to know what's happening on 104.11?
You've got comfortable access to the network, and what you probably won't be able to get is any data that's stored on those ships individually.
No.
But if you're after things like their schedule, their patrol routes, things like that, then yes, you'll be able to retrieve what effectively is water traffic control data for them.
Yeah. Is 104.01, is it due to leave anytime soon?
01 is on paper. Let me see what
it's currently docked at 129, apparently.
It is docked at 129.
Oh, good notes,
as my notes tell me.
All right, don't get
I was
cocky.
waiting for a moment. I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let me look that up. Hold on a second.
Make one good note and live off it for the rest of your life. So,
Yes, it is
Where you are?
docked at 129. It is due for departure tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. Okay. So, got to make a choice at some point. About we want to get down there, right? We want to get down. We've got to work out how we're going to get down there. That's the question. And I don't want to go by myself. I'm a lonely woman when it comes to this thing. Okay. Kron will do nothing, so I have no control over Kron. Kara will.
nice try there.
Yet. Kara will. I approached the Bathy, didn't I? So I'll whisper into Kron. I don't think you've got half an hour before they get here. I think you've got like a minute max. But I don't know. It might buy some good spirit. It might buy some goodwill. We'll see what their response is about being able to get it up and running again. Maybe if I do the talking and you do the fixing, we'll see what they say.
Okay, give it a shot.
Just remember, Neil, keep your head down. You're 104, ride or die. Your daddy was a 104. Your granddaddy was a 104. And you hate 109. Remember that.
Oh, they're the worst.
They are the worst, aren't they? Ugh. Cool. You keep doing your thing. I'll. If we get kicked out, we get kicked out. But if you can get it going in 30, like I say, might get some positive vibes from them.
Yeah, it works.
Cool. I'll see you in a bit. If you get a message from me saying run.
Okay. And you mean run out, back to the terrifying city?
Yeah, but the terrifying city is what stands in the way. You must think of the terrifying city as just part of the journey to get back to the safe surroundings of the Baltic Star.
How about I just run to stand behind Zoe?
I tell you what, it's probably the safest place in the terrifying city.
Yeah, I'll follow her wherever she goes. I'll be fine.
Fantastic. That sounds good. Cool. Cheers, man. Okay, right. Do what you can. I'll have a word with this lot. See what's happening.
Okay.
As she heads to go out, she wants to give. In a bit. There's no one really around directly, right, at this point, because there were two at the front.
Linto Sard is just in that same space at the other side of the big central machinery unit.
Yeah, if that is indeed his real name.
If that is his name, you can. It really would be the work of a couple of seconds just to walk past the machinery and say hi to him.
I want to try and speak to Stefan first, but I'm just making sure I'm probably at a distance, which you would know as the GM, that I can make a call without being heard. I'm trying to picture my distance here.
Not only can you, in general, you have the sort of regular throat mics and things like that, so you can speak under your voice, and it would be very, very hard to overhear you, put it that way.
Cool.
But also, you are not unpracticed at doing this in any number of different worlds and environments, so I suspect you'd be fine.
Cool. Then I shall call Stefan Miller, please.
Hello. You're through to Stefan.
Hey, Steve. You okay out there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All great, thanks. Great. Going well. Just a reminder, if you're ever worried about secret communications, you can always just send me a video of you mouthing what you were going to say, and I can read your lips. Totally doable.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I can tell what you're thinking. I think that's how my skill works.
Wait, what am I thinking now?
That you wish I was just to send you a video so that you could use your new skill.
Gee, that's
I'm
good.
I'm good. Anyway, we're wasting time here. I've got literal seconds, I think. I'm going to try and talk to these guys coming in, right? These, however many. You don't know how many there are, right? It's just some people. I know you. More than 3. I believe.
One more than 10.
Okay, I can work that out. I may be an artist, but I can
6.
work that out. Okay, that's good. Six. I can manage 6.
No,
Uh,
11. 11.
oh,
Definitely 11.
that's a lot more to manage. I'll do my best. Luckily, I'm not trying to fight them. What I was going to do is I was going to try and schmooze a little bit, try and see where it is. Um, if I prank call you in the next like couple of minutes, could you come bursting in, Steve, to tell me, Betty, and Neil that we're urgently required to patch up another of the 104 ships, maybe 10401. If that helps me to sort of bluff my way out quickly, it's sort of a bit of a desperation. You come barging in like a hero kind of thing, or an angry boss.
Yeah. I mean, there's from what I remember, there's a little bit of like a multiple door situation going on. But I'll come in urgently
Yeah,
to the best of my ability.
I might do it anyway just to see you come in urgently. I'm quite thrilled. I kind of hope it has to happen. Anyway, hope you're comfortable out there.
Don't forget the code word, just in case things go badly.
It feels like a week ago since we worked that code word out.
You can always call on Cags.
Ah, good. Okay. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'll make a note of that. Cool. Yeah, but that's all guns blazing. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. Cheers. Steve.
It's a bad day when that happens, but
It's always a bad day when you need to call on kegs. Okay.
good luck.
Good luck. Thank you very much. I'll see you shortly. Kara will wander out into the area to where Linto Sard, if that is their name, is doing their thing.
Yes, Sard is still essentially walking the large hold area, and everything seemingly needs to be checked. Every strap needs to be tugged on, tightened, checked. Every mounting point needs to have. Sard has a like a clip that you can put through um, a ring or any kind of mounting point with a handle on it, and every pad eye and mounting point on the hull clips this through and then gives it a good solid tug before undoing it and moving to the next one, just making sure that everything is locked down and ship shape for the journey ahead.
Hey, Linto, everything looking good?
Yeah, well, apart from the bathy, any luck?
I've been speaking with Neil. I sort of was running diagnostics. I think, and Neil thinks that we could get it up and running in maybe 30 minutes, maybe even less, actually properly functioning again. The guy's a genius, you know.
Sounds it. Okay. The crew's coming in. I've had notification. We're supposed to depart in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be whoever's call it is, whether it's yours or the crew's call, whether they've got to go now or whether they can delay for a bit for the bathy, or if it needs to go up the ranks.
Can you roll a persuade for me, please, with intellect?
Oh, that means I have to open my dice box. Oh. Are we the only role-playing stream that go for that long without even opening our dice box? Because we're like, nah, we'll just roll the dice. We'll just blather on.
We might not tonight. Who knows? I'll just leave them there.
Leave them there to see.
I might not need them.
I'm gonna find a way to force you into it. I don't know how, but intellect.
I very much enjoy the
persuasion.
Sorry.
Intellect and persuasion. Okay, that's a +4 at least. Right, come on, let's warm these up. They're a bit chilly.
This isn't necessarily the easiest, but it's.
Well, we'll see what we can get.
We'll give it a shot.
We'll see what we can get. Let's get them a bit warmer. There we go. Okay, oh, that's a very good start. The warming worked. That is a 9 plus a 4 is 13.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Sard immediately says, I can't authorize a change in schedule. Obviously, we have to be out when we're out. I'll tell you what, though, we can take you with us. Your engineer can fix it on the way. Then we can test it before we get to 104, before we actually have to use it.
Nice. Is there? Do you think there might be room for one more? I've got another guy that works IT with me. He's sort of my co-worker, a guy called Steve. He was upstairs yesterday making the plans for us to come down. It won't be any problem. Just strap him to a wall. It'd be really good if I could sort of run some things past him while I'm down here. We'll, we'll quiet as a mouse until we're needed.
Well, I'll tell you what. We've got 5 bathies and 6 loaders coming onto the hull right now. As long as you can either work a bathie or load the kelp, you can take a roll. We'll have to leave some of them behind, but they won't mind missing a shift.
That sounds perfect. My friend, he's very strong as well, so I'm sure he can load some kelp.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're happy to load kelp as well, or I don't know if you're qualified on a bathie, but if you've got the skills to do it, they're not intrinsically hard when they're working properly. Just tell me how many people I'm leaving off the hull, and you can take their spots. Loading doesn't really require much in the way of training, you understand.
That's good. In which case, if you've got space for 4 of us, that'd be amazing. We've got someone that comes with us. She's sort of heavy. I don't know if you've ever been to some of the lower levels, but sometimes you've got to be quite persuasive at times. And she's excellent at that.
Can you roll a persuade for me, please, with intellect again?
Well, that's an 8. That's an 8 plus 4 is 12.
Okay. He nods and then he says, "Yeah, I'm pretty good at knowing what those kind of things mean. I guess you have to take her everywhere, right?" I'm sure that's the rule. And he turns back to his work as if he's slightly embarrassed by it.
Yeah, cool. Cara will call up Steve.
Okay.
Hey, Steve, you there?
Steve doesn't answer. Steve comes running towards the.
Oh yeah, of course.
Running towards the weatherlock. Where are the current 11 or the people? The 11
they're ahead of you. They
approaching?
have gone into the main lock, and then after they made sure all of their clothing was tightly on and everything, they have, as you enter the inner door, you are delaying them from opening the outer door because obviously it only opens one at a time.
He'll go for the Indiana Jones slide underneath the door. There's no need to, but he'll give it a go anyway. Just to act, to give the perception that he's trying to be as quick as possible to not delay them.
I'll tell you what.
Yes.
No.
Can you roll for?
Roll for it.
A dex with athletics dex, please.
Okay. Well, that's pretty good. That's a 10 plus 4.
Yeah, that is pretty good. Okay, you actually slip in so quickly and smoothly that you don't actually delay them very much at all. As they're sort of punching the panel to open it, and you manage to make it in time that the inner door closes. And if there's a delay, it's a fraction of a second, not one they would notice or care about. It does mean, however, you run face first into that horrible storm and wind and what have you, a little bit unprepared.
especially in the dressing gown. It's not a good time.
Not a good time.
But he'll gesture towards the in some kind of a panicked. It's okay. Friendly motion towards the 11 people, and make his way towards 10411. If I may.
Okay. Essentially, as you make your way out, you can see Zoe in the corner to your left. She's standing there watching as all this happens, just keeping an eye on things at the moment.
A little wave.
She's sort of hunkered down inside her jacket, if you know what I mean. Her head's sort of tucked down as low as it'll go comfortably. But the actual rear door to the ship is very close to the door to the main city. So you only have to walk a matter of a handful of meters to get up that ramp. And then at the far end, there's the main door that opens on a weird diagonal pattern to reveal access to the ship's hold. The guys with you assume you're coming, so they wait for you to join them before hitting the panel in. Probably because they are used to how much you get shouted at if you keep those doors open longer than necessary. So they wait for everyone to be literally ready to go before they hit the button.
Which is good, because Stefan wouldn't have had a clue what to do, to be honest.
The door slides open and everybody makes their way in and the door closes. So everyone now except Zoe is on the ship. Okay?
Stefan comes on. Betty, Neil, we've got a code move. It's 10401.
It's Steve. I'm glad you're here. It's okay, Steve. It's okay. I've sorted out 10401. It's all right. I was able to make the change remotely.
What?
You need to downgrade your code move to a code taupe.
That far?
Yes.
That feels a drastic change.
I know, but it's good news. It's good news. This here is my new friend Linto Sard. I think it's a pseudonym.
Wait, did you whisper that to Steve or to
to Steve? Just to
this
see
is Linto Sard. That is right, isn't it?
That's your name. Try and trick him up a little bit. Is it? So many pseudonyms in here. So this is Linto Sard. He's a good man. He's a good 104er, just like you and me. And Neil.
Well, that's good news. It's a pleasure to meet you, Linto. I love that his hand. Sorry, go on.
Steve, did Neil ever tell you how his dad and his granddad were both 104 engineers?
Are you joking? He never shuts up about it.
I know.
Every day he tells me his dad and his granddad and his great granddad. Honestly, I mean, I love 104 as much as the next person, but there's only so much you can hear before, you know.
I know. I think he's showing off sometimes, like it's some sort of competition. We're all in it together, of course. We've got to beat those dastardly 109s, right?
It's Steve. It's on the ground 3 times. And the mention of 109.
Yeah. So,
of course.
Sard looks around and says, "So you're bringing 4 total?"
Oh yeah, I need to call our other friend. Steve. How do you feel about doing some kelp packing today? You know, like the old days.
That's what I was made to do. Look at me.
Go on, show your muscles.
Well, I'd rather not, but go on then. Flex his muscles. He won't really, but pretend to.
Sure, yeah.
Is he still in the dressing gown? This is
yeah. Still in the dressing gown.
As you're
really
doing it, you see Sard walk over, and as the group is sort of assembling and dropping their their little personal bags down for the trip, Sard walks over and taps three of them on the shoulder and says, "You three, off the ship. You get a rest shift." And they look up. It's like, really? Yeah. Go. I'm doing you a favor. And there's a
Do
sort
we
of
all hear that?
That's ominous.
yeah. And they sort of look. It's like, what are you talking about? And Sard mouths something to them which you can't hear.
Oh,
Oh, Ben, can Stefan see it?
this is back to you.
I'll tell you what, I don't know, to be honest, because we didn't work out exactly where Stefan was. So how about
Stefan's everywhere.
roll a d6 for me? Let's see if he's actually got line of sight and if he's paying attention at the time.
That's a 4.
Okay, fair enough. Then in that case, you can definitely have a check with your lip reading and intellect.
Almost the worst of all of his skills. Core skills, at least. That's an 8 plus 1 is a 9.
All right. Well, given it's in a language you're very familiar with and it's only a very short thing and it's repeated more than once, I'm going to say you definitely work out what it is. The word is wanderer.
He will give off no reaction at this particular moment in time.
Okay.
Oh, Steve, I almost forgot. Could you go and grab Zoe? She's joining us too. You know how we always need to have her with us as our sort of personal minder.
Oh, really? We've got to drag Farmer along. Okay.
She wouldn't want it any other way. You know that.
Yeah.
It's just
Keeps
a job.
us out of trouble.
Certainly does.
And Stefan will presumably make his way out with the rest of them. The rest of them actually leaving. Or
They are, yeah.
Okay. He'll make his way out into the very windy, storm-like area outside of the ship, and make his way over to Zoe.
Okay. You walk over to Zoe. As you do, can you roll your choice of recon or streetwise, please, with intellect? I'm going to do the same with Zoe as well.
Ooh. Oh, why is Stefan so unintelligent? Oh, it's good rolls tonight, though. I'm sorry, Ben. That's a 9 plus 2 for Stefan.
Okay. As you leave with the group and then walk off to the side, as they head for the door, you walk off to the side to see Zoe. The three who are leaving the ship look across at the pair of you, but particularly at Zoe. And the look on their faces isn't irritation or it isn't caution or confusion or anything like that. It is absolute terror. They cannot hide how scared they are of her.
I think Stefan will. Well, I mean, partly guided by the situation of the place we're in, but also by the weather and the howling wind. He'll type out on his phone, "Is everything all right?" And he won't send it to anyone, but he'll just hold it up to Zoe.
She nods, but you can see that she's also caught a weird vibe from those three guys, and she's a bit concerned. At least there's a slight frown on her face, but yeah, she nods to you. She's okay.
And whilst he's there, he'll take the phone down and he'll delete it, and he'll go into the group chat and he'll just say, your new friend made a mention of Wanderer without actually saying it to the people that just left. Send it to everyone. And shout to Zoe. Betty wants you on board.
Zoe nods and said, "That's out of the weather, right?"
He'll just nod. At this point, it's the clearest form of communication.
She sets off without a backward glance, aiming for the door with enthusiasm and gusto.
And Stefan will follow.
Okay.
He'll just before he goes on though, he'll take a little glance back at the people that have just left.
You can see them because the glass doors on this side are large. They're deliberately large, so you can see what you're walking into and choose not to open the door if there's a big wave breaking over or something like that. So they are standing there looking out of the window, talking among themselves, and definitely staring very much at Zoe.
It's a very animated talking, or quite.
Their body language is stiff and they're not moving, but they are talking and staring at her. They're not pointing, they're not waving their arms about. They look like, I don't know, there's a wasp in the room and they're terrified of wasps. So they're standing very still and sort of saying, "Do you see it? I see it." You know, that kind of thing.
Do we? I don't suppose we know anything about Zidane in this area of space.
I'm tempted to say you might, if you've been fairly widely travelled now. How about, can you roll me, and given the circumstance here, an education roll with whatever skill you might think would lead you. We can be fairly flexible. Whatever might lead you to have background information about somewhere.
If only you had psionic-ology.
That would be a good one, yes.
If only. I mean,
or psoriacology.
Gonna be honest, we're scraping the barrel here. It's probably gonna be streetwise is probably my only chance, or we're talking a -3.
That's
which is fine.
more spotting things that happen around you. So I'm afraid it's probably going to be -3 plus your education.
That's fair. I think you mean minus my education, Ben.
Do I mean that?
Yes, you do.
Oh no.
Oh, that's not bad. That's an 8 for a 4 total.
A 4 total.
If I may. Yes. Yeah.
No.
No.
There's nothing you can think of that would help with that. But given the nice big glass windows, it's not going to be easy because there's 3 of them and because they're not exactly emoting that much, but you can have a lip reading roll if you like with intellect to see if you can catch any part of their conversation. Don't get too excited. I suspect it won't be much.
No, that is that's very kind though.
He's a very kind referee.
He is indeed. Do you say with education?
With intellect, please.
With intellect, sorry. So that is 9 plus 1 for a 10.
Okay.
Sorry.
The closest you can get, they are talking very much about one person who you can only surmise is Zoe, and it's that what they're saying is, you know, what's she doing there? And someone else saying something along the lines of, the only good thing about the ships is there aren't any wanderers. And somebody else sort of looking at the ship and saying, well, it's not our problem. It's those poor bastards' problem. And then they turn to the door on the inside.
As we've gone in, have we got space? Have Zoe and I got space between anyone else? Not necessarily Betty or Neil, but have we got a little bit of room to manoeuvre before we reach the rest of the crew? I suppose.
Yes, most of the people are up close to that machine in the middle of the hold. But given that the door is opening and closing periodically, nobody is deliberately being all that close to the rear at the moment.
Steve will call out, "Hey, farmer!" Like,
Yeah.
Call her over close.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's just something I picked up on. It's not something I'm saying, but I just want to. Does the term wanderer mean anything to you?
She thinks about it for a moment and she says, no, beyond. It's a word.
Mm.
I know
Yeah,
what it
it's pretty
means,
cool.
usually.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool word. I quite like it. Okay, no worries. I just so you're aware, it's kind of awkward. I don't want to be rude, and I don't want to throw stuff out there that's not necessarily true. But the people that just left were looking a little bit worried, and they sort of mentioned that a couple of times between themselves, looking in your direction. I don't think it might be a bad thing. It's probably an ill-informed thing, but I thought it was worth mentioning.
All right. Okay. Thanks. I'll keep my eyes open.
Yeah, and if you need anything, me or and he'll sort of roll his eyes, Betty or Neil, we're always here.
I'll keep them peeled. You never know. There might be some bad stuff afoot.
Yeah, hopefully not. But
yeah, what are the odds?
He'll chuckle and he'll throw an arm across the shoulder and try and walk along towards everyone else for a brief moment before releasing.
Okay. All this time, obviously, Kron is cheerfully working on the bathy, and as soon as everyone's on board, you see the crew chief turn around, and he calls out, "Okay, everybody ready? We're going." And without any further ado, he touches a panel on the hold wall, and the lights change briefly. They flash green, 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 3 times. And almost immediately you feel a big change. Everybody on board the ship is an experienced hand, and they all leap towards seats. Apparently, it's common practice to make people jump about a bit by hitting the button without giving them time to settle themselves first. So everybody leaps to find a suitable seat, and when the clamps that lock the ship firmly into its dock release, there's a sort of deep roll and swell suddenly from the ship, which just unbalances you a little bit. And then, almost before you've even started to recover from it, this powerful surge of acceleration moving the ship out of the dock. It's not what you call dangerous, but it is unpleasant as a lurch and then a sort of firm acceleration. And it does mean that you all have to, quickly grab onto something or throw yourselves into a seat and hold on. And you can hear Linto Sard just laughing away at the greenhorns who didn't know to grab on quickly.
Oh, not as smooth as I've experienced before, Steve.
Steve, who at this point threw himself into Betty's lap and his arms around her neck to grab onto the closest thing possible. No, definitely not. Do you mind? Could you just put me down, please? Do you think?
I didn't choose to pick you up in the first place.
No, of course not.
Unless you mean put you down like a terrified animal.
Not yet. No. But thanks.
Quite yet.
This is to be honest, Stefan. I don't know. This is why I'm whispering very quietly in your ear while there's noise going on. I have no idea how we've ended up on this really, but let's follow our feet and see where it takes us, and see if we can get close to the mysterious chasm.
Yeah, that's a good plan. Listen, keep, and he'll get even closer than close. Keep an eye on Zoe. I think that term wanderer was about her. Just vibes from the people leaving,
Oh, Ben. Benny.
You talking to me about Benny? I'm very familiar.
No, yeah. Remember Benny.
Always
I
remember
remember.
Benny.
I always remember. So I taught me well. I always remember Benny.
Yeah. So turn your face left away from me. It's too close. No. Would my psionicology, the study of psionic powers and phenomena, with it being linked to being linked to the Zodani,
Yeah.
would I be able to think of if in my research I have heard the phrase wanderer used through the history books? Because I know Zoe hasn't, but she's looking at it through living it, right, rather than researching from the outside in.
All right. I'll tell you what. Yes, roll a psionicology for me, please.
Yeah.
With your choice of intellect and education, and given that it is literally something you've just recently researched, you can have a boon for that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's good. Right. I'll take education because although it's that and intellect are both +2, my education's 13, which feels a bit more special. Right,
Okay.
here we go.
That is special.
So it is special. +3 with a boon. So that would be a 9 +3 is 12. So the boon helps.
Okay.
Indeed.
All right. In that case, the first thing is, no, it hasn't come up in your researches that people would refer to either psionics generally or Zodani in particular as wanderers. However, though you didn't necessarily pay that much attention, the fact is, Zoe, she looks Zodani. This is the first time on this trip anyone's reacted to her this way. And nobody did until something changed. And now they see her differently.
Okay, it's good to know. Thank you.
And as the ship pulls out, there are no convenient windows or anything like that. You can't really see where you're going. You can feel it's a powerful ship, and it's moving. It's moving fast. It's uncomfortable. It vibrates. It shakes. It's noisy. This is clearly not a luxury vessel. This is a working machine, and it's large enough and powerful enough to seemingly cut through most of the waves. But even so, every now and then, and it always comes as a nasty surprise, it hits something really big and suddenly, jolts and shakes and moves quite disconcertingly and seems to suddenly sort of slow down if it hits a wave or suddenly speed up. It's an unpleasant journey. And you are profoundly grateful suddenly that every single strap, hook, eye, and everything was properly checked by Sard before setting off. Because if they'd all been rattling and flapping around, it would have made it even more unpleasant.
Yeah.
But as you set off across the ocean, we will take our little break.
Ooh,
I like it.
very nice.
Well, thank you very much, Ben. Thank you very much, viewers. We will be back in 5 minutes. So do what you need to do. Join us for the toast in 5. So make sure your glass is filled when you get back for the Grey Hill toast. But until
Very
then,
important.
it's incredibly important. See a snail? Incredibly important. Let's get the music going. There we go. That's all looking good, and we'll see you in a short while. We are back, Ben.
Ah, it's time to recount another of the stories I was once told by our former ship's steward. I can't verify the accuracy of these stories. After all, he once told me he invented dice. Once, he told me, he found himself on a world far behind the imperial curve when it came to technology. These people were a society like none he'd seen before, medieval and superstitious. To a person like Greyhill Bat, they were charming and quaint, but also a little frustrating. They were convinced that the starships he described were simply elaborate galleys from another shore. Anyway, one town had a conundrum to deal with. They believed that there was a powerful user of magic hiding in a mountain nearby. The mountain had distinctive red bushes on its summit and might have been taken for mystical by any primitive society such as this one. The superstitious townsfolk were afraid to visit the mountain, so naturally it fell to Greyhill to explore. He never would tell me of the things he found inside, except that he did manage to deal with the threat somehow, but he always regretted falling short in the requisite number of keys to something or other. Keys perhaps he lacked, but a good story and a fine drink was always guaranteed whenever he was around. Please raise your glasses as we toast to the memory of our former steward and raconteur, the late, great Greyhill Bast.
To the late great
The late
Greyhill
great Greyhill Bast.
The tale all too familiar, Ben. Very nice.
He really got around in his day, didn't he, old Greyhill? It's a shame he joined us and it all ended.
Just think what could have been. The things he could have done.
Oh, what a guy.
What a guy.
To Greyhill, Spurs, to Greyhill.
To Greyhill. To Greyhill.
You don't need to spend your points here. I'll tell you what,
Just tell us, we'll do it.
I'll send them for you. Hang on, let's find it. Let's find it. Here we go. I found it. Okay.
Oh, you beat me to it.
I knew you would. It's Spez's song. I suppose the song is on, so we can play that instead as an
Much better.
However, it does mean we won't make any money from the stream, of course, will we, Ewan?
Well, allegedly, the Beastie Boys are quite litigious.
Oh, very litigious.
So I've heard.
Yeah, allegedly.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
But hey, here we are.
Here we are. But where are our characters then?
You are currently riding on a ship out across a very stormy, very uninviting, cold ocean, heading towards the boundaries of Sector 104.
And another thing I said to Steve, another thing, I said, why has 104 got to go so far? How come it's the other guys that are so close to home, eh? It's always 104 that get the short straw. Isn't that right, Steve?
Yeah, every time. It's not right. There's some. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy. There's never a conspiracy here, but it feels as though we get the short straw every time we go out, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
don't get me wrong, Governor Ormel Helinsky, stand-up guy, right? Great man. It's clearly not down to him that we're here, but all I'm saying is like 103, 115. They barely have to leave home to go fishing.
yeah, it's no person. It's just the procedures, the red tape, the system. The system is against us. It's
don't get me wrong. I like the red tape in the system, but you know.
Of course you do.
Yeah, I just like the governor. I love the governor. Do you remember when we
We
drank?
all love the governor.
Remember when we drank all that water and toasted to the governor that night?
So much water.
So much water. Oh.
Oh yeah.
Don't roll dice.
No, too much role playing.
No,
That'll learn us.
at the mention of water, one of the newcomers who's seated down, they've all quite noticeably seated themselves not too close to Zoe. But one of them actually looks across at her and says, "So, do you fancy a drink?" Very tentatively. And then, as if trying to explain himself, because normally we have a drink about now, but I mean, if you don't feel thirsty, he's very carefully picking his words, and Zoe's a bit confused by this, but she says, "Sure, let's have a drink," not really knowing what's going on. And the guy carefully undoes his seatbelt and clambers to his feet and works his way along to where some of the luggage is stored, and reaches in and pulls out a fairly substantial looking flask, like a canteen, and then works his way back, holding on at various anchor points until he gets back to his seat, and then gingerly holds it out to Zoe, who unscrews it and takes a sip, and then screws the cap back on, and you can see she's wanting to wince, and she hands it back to him and says, "Thank you, it's lovely." And then it gets passed from person to person all the way around the hold.
Can Stefan try and gauge the context of this social interaction? It's just very vague. But can he try and get the intent, I suppose, of this? What's going on here? It feels very odd compared to what was happening, what he saw out on the dock.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Almost to the opposite of what he saw, I would, from my perspective.
I'm trying to think what's the right call for this. You know what? I think deception is probably the closest.
Ooh.
So, can you make a deception roll, please, with intellect?
Yes, you certainly can. That's making up for my earlier rolls. That will be a 3 + 1 for a total of 4 for those of us that aren't as mathematically inclined as
About
me.
the only thing you can get is that
Sod's law.
I guess normally these trips are a bit more convivial. People are more relaxed. They're more of an established crew, and clearly people must rotate in and out of a crew this big periodically. But Zoe is a source of worry to them, as you know. It's like he's sort of trying to break the ice, but very tentatively, like he's trying to feed a tiger with a piece of meat on the end of a stick. He's just being really, really cautious in approaching her and hoping that she won't get in the way of them having a drink of some kind on the way to their destination. But clearly,
Nervous but friendly.
Is not water. He's trying to, I guess, find out how much she will be part of the crew and how much she is an alien being who wants to kill them all, I guess.
Speculative. Yeah. Okay, cool.
But you can't really learn the details of what he's thinking or anything.
Yeah, no, sure. I think Stefan's main concern was for Zoe, so he'll sit back and just watch all this going on with no real concern from what he's learned.
Well, eventually the drink comes around to you guys. Would you like to taste it?
Kara will try and catch Zoe's eye as she takes the drink to check to see if Zoe's not like suggesting that she doesn't. I guess
It's hard to describe. It's very clearly alcoholic, and it tastes of bad and slightly toxic alcohol.
Oh god.
It doesn't really have any subtlety to it, and it certainly doesn't taste good or pleasant. It's pretty foul, but it might be the kind of thing that on a long cold journey across a stormy sea someone might have a sip of occasionally.
That's put hairs on my chest. Yeah, Steve, not like you need any more, but knock yourself out.
Thanks, and he'll take it and he'll pass it along to the next person in line. I've been teetotal. You know that, Betty, ever since that incident on
a very long look at that.
That incident on Geeka. You remember and he'll pass the bottle over and just go.
Okay. The crew, some of them
not
seem
entirely inaccurate.
So, some of them do seem to just sip it. A couple don't drink at all. One or two take a decent gulp, but they wince pretty hard afterwards.
They're my sort of people. I like them.
And eventually it's returned to the person who brought it, who tucks it sort of behind him in the seat, and looks across at Stefan and says, "You're not a fan of Lope?"
Oh, how are you spelling Lope?
Lope.
Thank you.
I'll be honest, I've never tried it. I do normally quite enjoy a drink. You've caught me at a it's the best way of putting this. Betty, would you say it's a life-affirming choice or a running away from bad decisions choice kind of moment? Somewhere in between, maybe.
I'm not ready to speak yet. Just give me a few minutes.
Well, maybe if you wouldn't mind, based on that reaction, just a little taste. And he'll hold out his hand.
The chap retrieves the flask and hands it to you.
It's very kind. He'll take a little.
It hurts less. It hurts less if you gulp it.
He'll take a very small sip and pass it back.
Okay. It is sharp, bitter, unpleasant. It's very clearly alcoholic, and not necessarily all ethanol, if you know what I mean. It's in principle what I mean.
Yeah.
It does feel like it was brewed under difficult circumstances rather than actually made for human consumption in the technical sense.
I like the bitterness. It's good. Where does that come from? Is that the kelp? Where does that come from?
It's actually Sard who says, really, it's your first time? Okay. Lope is made from Yeah, from the kelp, from the leftovers after the Cadmos is taken, and
Oh
it's
no.
in order to make it properly ferment and get its kick, you need to find some that the Cadmos hasn't really come off all yet, so there's still a bit of sugar left. It's the nature of it because of the Cadmos and the fact that it's quite low in actual sugars. I think technically it's like 1 part water to 1 part ethanol to 1 part methanol to 1 part propanol. It's it's certainly got a kick, hasn't it?
Mm. Yeah, it's nice. I like it. To be honest, I'm quite partial to the fermented products of the sea. Betty will tell you that time. Betty, do you remember the time we were on? In fact, that was the time we were on Geeker, wasn't it? We had fermented megalodon. That was an interesting delicacy.
Look, Steve, they know you're lying. There's no need to show off about
What?
it. We had a burger and a milkshake. You got drunk on 2 cheap beers.
That was the best
Stop. Look,
holiday I've ever had.
so
I've never been away.
I know, but don't you don't need to, look. That's a great story on its own. You've got to stop going on with this megalodon, this and the alcoholic tears of a patron saint, that and being stripped naked and painted silver and being worshipped as a god. It's embarrassing. Just enjoy the holiday that we had.
Well, it was embarrassing for you when I was naked and silver and worshipped as a god, but for me, it was great.
Yeah. One of the people, not the one who originally brought the flask, but as it's sort of been handed out to you again, it goes around the loop again.
Oh yes.
And one of them, I don't know if Cara wants to have another sip.
How drunk does she feel after the first? Because I've taken drinks before in real life where one is groovy and the second one, half an hour later, you've got your head on the bar wondering what's happened.
You're not drunk, but there's the faint edge of a headache.
Oh, we've skipped the drunk stage altogether. We're straight to the hangover and regret.
It
Wonderful.
basically gives you an instant hangover, yes,
Yeah,
with a slight hint of drunkenness to pass the time. You'd probably need to drink a lot more of it to get actually drunk, but that might come with an attendant even worse hangover.
I'll take a small sip to show willing, like a local, a true local, but a smaller sip this time. I hope you're not working out some figures here.
No, not working out figures, I promise.
Roll an endurance check.
Okay. Yeah, so the youngest looking of them, I guess, youngest-ish. They're all not old, but this one looks relatively young. He has taken 2 enthusiastic swigs, and as it passes him the second time, it goes back round to Zoe, who's sort of on the end of the line, if you know what I mean. And she decides not to partake again, and passes it back to the guy who originally had it. And seeing this, the young chap says, "I thought Wanderers got the good stuff." And you can immediately feel the tension in the space. It's like everybody knew, or at least some people knew, she might be a wanderer, whatever that is, but now it's been said out loud and to her face, and everyone is like poised to run if her reaction is the wrong thing. And of course, she doesn't really think anything of it. She she doesn't know what it means. So she shrugs and says, "I have no idea what you mean." And there's a long pause while people try to parse this, and then they start to laugh a little bit, like, "Oh right, yes, of course." No idea what I mean, of course. And things return to normal, but a little bit more quiet. That building sense of a little bit of camaraderie is now gone. Everyone's sitting quietly again and looking at their toes.
Stefan, I'll call it out. I'm sorry, what? A wanderer?
I'll tell you what, roll a persuade for me with intellect.
Oh dear.
See if they believe that you're that innocent, so to speak.
Sorry, Ben. That's a 9 plus 1 is a 10.
Okay.
That one 3 did not necessarily weigh out my other rolls tonight. I apologise.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns.
yeah.
If only everything balanced out.
Okay.
Make things a lot easier.
Stefan asked this question, and there's a sort of pause with everyone sort of looking around and looking at Zoe in like, are they allowed to talk about it? Let's see. There's always a chance. Okay. Sard makes a decision and he turns to face Zoe square on, and he says, "You're not a wanderer then? I mean, we can't go on like this for the entire trip." And Zoe sits back and she says, "Cards on the table. I have no idea what a wanderer is." And he says, "Okay. I guess that means we don't have to drown 4-3 over there. All right. Well, then in that case, let's have another round of drinks." And that's where we'll call it for tonight.
Oh, Ben.
Oh, just as the
No
camaraderie
questions
starts.
answered. Oh. She could very well be. Who knows? But I suppose at least they are under the impression she isn't. Who knows? I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
She's playing a long game. She clearly knows she is. She knows. I don't know what it is, but she knows. She's always one step ahead of us, Ewan. We know
That's very much the case all the time.
That is true. Hang on a second. I need to put something on for Sparrow. Hang on a sec. Let me click the correct thing. I think
Is it the cat thing? You're going to do the cat thing?
I think it
That's
might be
definitely a
that.
sabotage.
It's sabotage. Let's. Oh no, it's this. I found it. I found what she wants.
That's what you want.
No, he doesn't.
That's what he wants. He
For
wants.
you and...
What does he want? What does he want? He wants. I reckon he wants. Ah, of course. That's what he wants.
Of course he wants.
Sailor Moon. No one wants Sailor Moon.
Oh,
if there's one group of people that are more litigious than the Beastie Boys, so I've heard, it's Bewitched.
it's
Allegedly.
Bewitched. Very litigious.
In my opinion.
Very litigious. Okay, I think I've got it. There we go. Rose's cat is in.
To be
It's
fair,
locked.
Sparrow, if you tried to play that earlier, I'm glad it came round eventually.
We got there in the end. I'm
That is
gutted your
good.
points.
In the
broken.
end. Excellent. All right. Then we will finish with a quick Rose's cat. 1 second.
Beautiful.
Here we go. Right. As Kron Sarama entered the engineering office, he took in the sight of his boss, Rachel Axis, sitting at the desk, stroking the small cat that wriggled and squirmed on the desktop. Standing next to her was Zoe Hathaway, the Zodani something, who made him a little uncomfortable in both good and bad ways. The two were deep in conversation, and since they hadn't told him to leave, he walked over to join in. You see the problem. Zoe, as she spoke, was hard to read, but for Sarama, she didn't look to be in a panic, just businesslike. Maybe she looked like the same when outnumbered and surrounded, though. Yes, Axis replied. Of course, we can disable it for the hold, but that's not a complete solution. Sarama nodded. If a solution isn't complete, it's not a solution. The two women looked at him, frowning. You have a better idea? Axis spoke with her usual level tone. Probably, said Sarama, but I'd need to know what the problem was first. The women both pointed to Caboodle, Rose's cat, who had thrown herself on her back now and was looking expectantly at the three people who, for some reason, weren't scratching her tummy. She always enjoyed the engineering desk because it was a large screen that glowed warmly when it was turned on, like now. It was Zoe who tried to explain. The kitten is a security threat. Sarama nodded very slowly. Zoe? I think, on balance, you can probably defeat her in a fair fight. Zoe glared at him. Not the point. Sarama shrugged. Sorry, my bad. I know how you feel about fair fights. The Zodani's expression hardened even more. Still, not the point. Axis decided that, while entertaining, the conversation wasn't getting anywhere. Okay, Kron, Zoe's worried about the automatic doors. We've got this programming that makes the doors go auto when the cat is in the room, and that might be a way for something threatening to move around the ship, something that might chase a cat from compartment to compartment. Sarama pursed his lips. Maybe something currently in the hold, in an egg, for example. Zoe nodded. Or customs officers, pirates, Fess, wreckers, assassins, commandos, slavers, smugglers, corporate hit squads, the Imperial military, the Varga military. She petered out. Axis smiled. I mean, if people board the ship, we'll know about it anyway, and all the programming changes. So those things, she caught Zoe's look and dropped the smile, those things are also real concerns. Good point. Sarama touched a few controls, and the desk showed a picture of a fully grown Moanth, all sinuous power and teeth, with a muscular tail and 6 sturdy legs. When those get out onto the ship and end up in the same compartment as Caboodle, then what happens if she runs from them? The two women looked at the picture. If? Both said in unison. Of course she'll run, Zoe said. She's not in favour of a fight that unfair. Axis nodded. And they chase her, and everywhere she goes, the ship opens each door in turn, allowing them to get to every part of the ship. So we modify the programming a bit, Sarama said. Zoe looked thoughtful. I'm not an expert on these things, but long ago, ships had cats on board to take care of vermin, pests, unwanted animals. Could we train Caboodle to deal with... She took another look at the picture of the huge predatory Moanth with the squirming ball of fur rolling across it. Or we could do the programming thing.
I'm really looking forward to Moamps getting out. I think it's going to be.
Oh, that's a cliffhanger, though. What a
I
cliffhanger.
know. Far too enthusiastic about this. Thank you, Ben. I think Caboodle can look after the ship. We don't even need to be back for it.
Yeah, Caboodle can take it from here on out across the rift.
Security Officer Caboodle.
With the aid of Sparrow, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
And minor input from Ben.
As long as Sparrow calls for the Rose's cat every week. We can stay on top of the
Yeah,
Moamp
right.
situation. If we leave it too many weeks, it might get out of control. So perfect. Exactly.
Yes.
No,
Yeah, indeed.
it's a wonderful thing. Thank you, Sparrow, for that. Thank you, Snell, for hanging out with us. Thank you, anyone else that
Thank you,
popped in.
Snell. Thank you, Ben. Thank you,
Chilled
IMT.
with the monkeys that are still lurked. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you so
Pleasure
much,
as always.
everyone.
I was making my notes. I was getting into it. It's all very fascinating. This week was a fascinating week. We're on our way to something I don't know what, with
So many
people I don't know who,
fascinators.
with the fear that I don't understand, alcohol that I don't understand. It's a wonderful place to be. But this is not where our weekend finishes, is it, Ewan?
It's no, it's not you, and I'm Ewan.
Yeah, exactly.
The weekend is the weekend, and I am Ewan. Yeah.
Right. Are you
No,
as big a
it's
pop
not-
star as the weekend is? Then?
It's not where our weekend finishes. It is certainly not. Tomorrow night we are back at 11 o'clock. GBT,
Oh.
England time, whatever that
GBT?
is at the minute. Yeah,
What
GBT,
does
Great Britain
GBT?
time.
Oh, you're making up your own times now.
Well, all times are made up, aren't they? What difference does it make who makes it up? I made it up.
Can I be
Someone else
30? Can
made
I
it
be
up,
30
who
then?
cares? No.
Any three initials said with sufficient confidence.
Yeah. Our time zone. And there we go. GBT.
We're back at 11 o'clock. URV.
Same time, same place. Tomorrow night we will be playing some Truth Foragers, taking over the channel. In fact, I believe.
Yeah,
that is the case. We've got Dickie and Rick and possibly some others live on the channel. Who knows? I'm unraveling some mysteries. You'll have to tune in to find out exactly what they're talking about. Nonsense, probably.
I've heard they do very good work for the urban legend scene. That everything they bring is of a deep quality.
Yeah, for sure. Still nonsense, but a deep quality nonsense.
I've signed up to their newsletter. It's the ramblings of a madman. But I quite like the paper that it's printed on.
It's better than the whim of a madman.
It's true.
Which we all know ends badly.
Or the man of a woman.
Exactly.
Well,
but yeah, that's going on tomorrow on the Baltic Stars channel as Ben, Luke, and I take a night off.
Yeah.
To go out and drink.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
Have some loaf.
Have some loaf. We're
yeah.
Is that where the phrase eloping comes from?
It is not. I did do a description of how the name came about for my notes, but you haven't asked that question yet.
All right, make a note. We'll do it next week, or we won't, and just it's wasted work for him. Serves him right. I don't know why it serves him right, but it serves him right.
I wouldn't worry about that. When I write a new place, I put in enormous numbers of just little. I don't know how to describe them, like little character moments or tone moments, just in case they come up and add a bit of depth. You blunder across some of them and not others. You're never going to find them all anyway.
It's why Ben's the smartest man in any Baltic Star stream. To be fair,
it's true. Even when he's not here, he's the smartest man. Like
for sure.
In a couple of weeks' time, he's not going to be here, and he's still going to be smartest because we've hit that point with the bear in the on the raft, and
no.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to that. He's going to be the smartest man, laughing at us for being useless at that.
You mean the smartest move is not to play?
Yeah,
it's not to be eaten by the bear. Very much, yeah.
Oh,
sure.
Classic movie. The only winning move.
Well, on that bombshell, now that we're all middle-aged men, the smartest move is to go to bed at a sensible time. And that's what we're going to do slightly this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We shall see you tomorrow evening. We hope. Have a wonderful Saturday, each and every one of you, wherever in the world you are. And we will see you soon. Good night, Sparrow. Good night, Snail. Good night, everyone else. Sleep well. Toodaloo.
Good night.
Good night.